you know, looking back now, you can't run a business unless you've got rules and regulations. I don't think it was that Pimlico was so good, it was just that some of the others were so bad. If you get a tidy setup, a smart tidy setup, you normally get a good worker. If you get a scruffy bastard, then you get a scruffy job. Half of them can't speak English.
Yeah.
Some of them are coming straight out of prison.
Can you just share the Pimlico Bible with us and why you brought it in? We
brought it in to simplify things, and I actually think that we changed the industry for the better.
It's £140 million just at your bank account. What was the first thing you bought?
You know, Lloyd kept saying the deal's on, the deal's off, and then one morning it was on, you know, and he rang me up and he just said, Charlie said, the money, 145 mil in your bank. I went, the future's looking great. I mean, the only thing that can us up is...
So you're at a point now then where you didn't have to set Refix London up, so why did you do it? Today's guest doesn't just have a story, he's built a legacy. From a one-man band plumber and a van, and a vision to building, growing, scaling and selling the UK's largest and most successful plumbing and heating company. You see, today I'm going to be speaking with Charlie Mullins OBE. But what we're not going to do is just share Charlie's journey. We're going to unpack all the secrets to Charlie's success, everything from branding, marketing, systems and the most famous Pimlico Bible that's turned Pimlico Plumbers into a household name, and now he's doing it all over again with Refix London. So Charlie, welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure to have you down here, Craig. I know you've travelled a long way from Sheffield to come to Refix, but I know it's going to be worth it because I'm very excited to do the podcast, and I've heard all about your business and that, and we want to encourage more people into the business.
Amazing, and thank you for your hospitality. Refix London's officers, fantastic.
Well, undoubtedly, we're a very tidy outfit, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, presentation is the most important thing, you know, for business, basically. If you get a tidy setup and smart tidy setup, you normally get a good worker. If you get a scruffy bastard, then you get a scruffy job.
Yeah, yeah. And we're going to come on to branding. So Charlie, take us back to the start then. How did you get into plumbing? You know, what age with you? How did it all come about?
It was a long time ago, but basically I used to bunk off school when I was 9, help a local plumber, and he explained to me then that you'll earn loads of money and you'll never be out of work if you do an apprenticeship. So that was the start of my plumbing, and you know, that was the start of my career. Left school at 15 with no qualifications, and I realised now, looking back, it was a big mistake. I should have left at 14 because I was always going to be doing the plumbing. Done an apprenticeship so I was 19, become self-employed, eventually started working around the Pimlico area and rented a room off of Pimlico Properties in their basement, and over 41 years just continued to build and build and build. That's a short version of it.
Yeah. Do you know what though? I set up my building company back in 1994 and we had no internet, there were no websites, certainly no social media, vlogs, blogs, videos.
Yeah.
So what I'm interested to know is, you know, back in them days, how did you sort of like market your business to go from a one-man band sort of plumber to starting to build up a team? How did you do it?
Yeah. Well, look, it was in 1979 that I started, and you're right, I didn't know anything about marketing. We used to have an answer machine answering the phone. I'd be flying around everywhere. And then, you know, somehow I realised the importance of, say, you know, having your van sign written. And it was all hand done by then. And, you know, it's the most, how would you say, it's the best advertising tool that we ever had, is the vehicle on the road. So I learned about that kind of thing. And I think in business, you just tend to cotton on to things and realise, you know, the importance of it. And I went in one of these quick print shop, and a guy who's a good friend of mine now, and he still works for me, probably 46 years down the line. And he explained something to me. I was getting some printing done, and he just explained one thing to me. I said to him, you know, is it a good idea to be on like shop windows, newspapers, radio, TV, any form of, I mean, you had to pay for the advertisement more then. And he just said to me, the word is recognition. He said, it doesn't matter if you're on a billboard, it doesn't matter where you are, if you're getting recognition and it happens to be for the right reason, that's all you need. So that word recognition has stayed with me throughout my working career.
Yeah. So at what point then did your business start to scale from being just yourself in a van? You've got your marketing right. At what point did you realise that you were onto something with Pimlico?
Well, to be perfectly honest, as a self-employed plumber, I started bringing a few different people in to help for demand of work. And then again, another thing I realised in business, if you want to grow your business, you've got to employ people. It's the worst thing in business, but it's the best thing. And I just started employing people, and it just grew gradually. And up until, I think, 1990, and we hit $1 million turnover, then took 10 years. But it was all going wrong then. It was all like, I didn't really have the marketing right, if I'm being honest then. I think the longer you do it, the more you get it right. But, of course, today, you can copy a lot more people. You can look at shows like yours. You can look on the internet. You can see what other people are doing. And, I think I just grew into that organically. But it certainly was, I didn't have the marketing right because we nearly went bust in 1990.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say to you, as you're going through that growth spell, you must have come across some challenges. And I've heard you say before that, as you were growing, you put some money, I think, into a property or something like that, and you needed to get the money out to survive, keep the business going.
Yeah, look, any business is going to be ups and downs, and, success comes with a price, whether it be your health, whether it be marriages, I had a few of them, whether it be family relationships, whether it be friends, something's going to go on the way. And, my finances went, and I think marriage went or two, like later on in that. But, I just don't know that you can be successful without something going out of your life, you know what I mean?
As you're growing this business, unbeknown to probably you, but you were a big influence on me back in 2013 as a joiner, struggling in his joinery business. I got about 10 lads working for me at that point. And I saw a programme with you and Peter Jones from Dragon Den on.
Yeah.
All them years ago. And it were at that point where I watched the programme and you were talking about something called the Pimlico Bible. And I'm sat there watching it and I'm thinking, this is a stroke of genius, this. Because you implemented this Pimlico Bible into your business, and I'm looking at it with 10 members of staff thinking, I think I run a tight ship, but what you introduced, can you just share the Pimlico Bible with us and why you brought it in?
Yeah. We brought it in to simplify things, and what was happening, was explaining to people, this is the type of haircut you can't have. Can't have tattoos all over your face. Can't, be scruffy. It was trying to keep explaining to people, and you just haven't got the time and energy. So I started doing pages, A4 pages, putting them on the wall, saying, you've got to wear a uniform, can't have a ponytail, can't have earrings in, can't have facial tattoos, got to turn up on time. All these type of things. And then we just formed a book with it. I just formed a book and called it the Pimlico Bible. Nothing clever, really. It's like, looking back now, you can't run a business unless you've got rules and regulations. And if people don't know them, they can't really comply with it. But once they know them, you can't wear shorts, you can't wear trainers. I know it sounds like the army, but, we're a quality outfit. And so that's what we've done. It just made it so much simpler. So everyone that came on board had a book, I had the Bible, and they couldn't go wrong. It was a bit like, they're not going to turn up in shorts and you go, well, if you look at page 26, there's no shorts allowed. And, it was just, you've got to lay out your terms and conditions of business. Without it, then you ain't got open hell.
Yeah. So most trades businesses really struggle when it comes to enforcing these rules of the game, or in your case, the Pimlico Bible. So what advice would you actually give to a plumbing and heating company or another joinery business or trades business right now that's struggling to get the team on board on getting them to do what they want them to do?
Okay, well, look, we've all got to start somewhere and, implement them on a gradual basis and show people the value of them, let them, if you turn up on time, you're going to get the job. If you're smart, you're going to get the job. If the van's all tidy, people want tidy people. But encourage the value of it. The value of that is that, you earn loads of money and you never run out of work. So once people are aware of, what you're coming in with, I think they adapt accordingly. And we all need some rules and regulations to follow. You know what I mean? We've got to, because, if not, you've got tradesmen turning up when they want, tradesmen knocking off when they want, tradesmen just not keeping the customer informed. And I'm not knocking tradesmen. I just think that, it become very much like tradesmen do what they want to do kind of thing. And the customer is the important thing. And then once you realise that, you're working in people's properties and you've got to be respectful and you've got to put dust sheets down. You've got to be transparent. So it's nothing clever, I've got to be honest with you. And I used to look back when I had Pimlico and think, I don't think it was that Pimlico was so good. It was just that some of the others were so bad. And I actually think that we changed the industry for the better. People started getting smart vans, uniform, being on time, being transparent, finishing the job, not, taking a piss out of customers, that type of thing. I think it was a good change. My idea was, once I started the company, was change the bad stigma about plumbing. And undoubtedly, we've done that.
Yeah. And at this point then, how many members of staff would you say you have? And how many vans did you have on the road? Because some people can't, they struggle to run a business with 10 people and 3 vans.
Yeah, well, businesses are not easy, yourself, but the more you put into it, the more you get out of it. Well, when we got to $1 million turnover, that was 1990, I'd imagine we must have had 40, 50 guys on the road and the same amount of vehicles. And then we built up, eventually, we moved out of this basement to a place in Lambeth where I bought a building there. And then we just continued to grow and grow. Then we moved again in 2000 to 30,000 square foot. And the end result with Pimlico was we had about 230 odd vans, 50 mil turnover, 450 people working for us, 1,200 apprentices over the years. Yeah.
You talk about your brand, and it's literally everywhere now with WeFix, everywhere I've looked, including outside all your vans, your taxi outside. So how important was the branding, particularly for Pimlico at that time? Because you've got the uniforms, you've got all these vehicles, you've got your private registration plates. So how important was that in terms of your growth?
Yeah, well, look, branding is priceless. People used to say to me, we first employed a PR company to do our marketing in 2000. And people asked me, is it worth it? Do you need it? Can you afford not to have it? Branding is priceless. And another thing I learned, look, you could be the best plumbing company in the world, but if nobody don't know about you, there's no point. So it's so important, the branding. And tradesmen that drive around without a sign-written van or a uniform or ID, I think they're just losing money left, right, and centre. I think it gives the business a bad name. I honestly believe that no tradesman should turn up without a sign-written van or a uniform or ID. The world's changed over the years, and people want safety and they want trust. But if people don't do, look, social media now, it doesn't cost you 2 bob. That you can get done, fairly cheap. So it's a must, you know what I mean? I'm not into all this computer nonsense. I can barely switch one on, but I know many people that can do it, and we use them people.
Yeah. So can you give us a couple of examples of how you were different when it comes to your branding and your marketing?
Well, we was different in a way that we was prepared to put our head above the parapet wall, be outspoken, and tell people what we can offer. People will always pay for quality. If you want a Marks and Spencer suit, you go to Marks and Spencer. If you want a Harrods suit, you go to Harrods or Savile Row. But I learned in business, people will always pay for quality. And then you you get the sort of, how would you say, the first thing you do, for me in business, is work out what you've got to offer. Is it like a cut price job? Is it like a reasonable price? Or is it top of the end? And if it's top of the end, then you've got to match the customer up with what you've got prepared to, we don't sell our service to, up in Sheffield. So, London's the place. London's the most expensive place. So we market ourselves in London, and we're looking for people that want to pay for quality and can pay for quality. So you match up what you've got to offer with the customer, and then you've got to get obviously the right engineer that can deliver it. It's a winning formation. You can't fail.
Yeah, yeah. What would you say to businesses then? Because we're constantly telling our members to put your prices up, you're too cheap. Because most tradesmen don't understand the numbers anyway, so they're just winging it and making it up as they go along. But obviously, with Pimlico and We Fix London, you're at the top end. So what would you say to people that are scared to put the prices up in the first place? Because if you get the right target market and you attract them to you with marketing, then price shouldn't be an objection, should it?
Well, I'm going to go back to what I said. People always pay for quality. If you're offering a quality service, then you need to charge a good rate or premier rate, and you've got to attract the good engineers. So it all goes, if you're a cheap outfit, you tend to attract cheaper engineers, and quite often they're not as good. So it's nothing clever. It's just like working your marketplace out. Obviously, the economy is struggling at the moment, so you've got to be sort of practical about things. But I go back to what I say, people will always pay for quality.
Yeah, yeah. I'm intrigued to understand how you came up with the number plates.
Yeah.
Because you got the number plates, haven't you? So how did all that come around?
Okay, well, dead simple. I think end result we had about 180 plumbing related or trade related number plates. And again, somebody mentioned me there was a number plate for sale called Drain, DRA 1M probably, in an auction, and someone just said, you should buy that, Charlie. I'm a great, I listen to people, but I don't listen too much to them. And I'm looking at it and I was having sleepless nights, and anyhow, I bought it for $6,000 and it changed overnight. All of a sudden, everybody wanted to buy it, put it on the van, and since then it's been non-stop. And I've bought hundreds and hundreds of number plates. Every We Fix vehicle will have a trade-related number plate on. It's a great marketing tool. Again, I'm going to say your best marketing tool is your vehicle. It's driving around London and, you've got it all sign written. It's the best advertisement out there. And the number plates become, very collectible to youngsters and people. We used to even have customers asking for, I've had bog 1 round, can I have shower? I've had loo 2, can I have gas? Can I have boiler? Can I have bidet? Can I have basin? Can I have drains? Can I have blockage? I'll go on and on, sinks. And, so it become, besides a nice bit of fun, it become like a collectible thing to people. And then we used to do charity work, spot the number plate, and we'd send a few vans out with the numbers on, and like we'd go wherever we are and people would be ringing in and we'd put 100 quid to charity. And then I'll be honest, we'd hold one back, to keep it going all day.
Yeah.
And then the guy would stick the number plate on and all of a sudden someone spotted, loo 2 in or bog 1 something. So it raised money for charity, but another great, I have to be honest, I'm blowing my own trumpet, but another great branding idea.
Yeah. Is it true that the higher up let's say that the hierarchy from an apprentice to maybe an engineer, the number plates had a significance depending on where you were in your business? Is that right?
Yeah, I'm laughing because, what we used to do in the end was the better the engineer, the better the number plate. So if you see someone in bog 1, he's a top engineer. If you see someone in loo to loo or something, he's a lower level, So in the end, the engineers, they get a better van, a newer van, the better they are, they get the better number plate. And they become known as that kind of thing, number plates are, if you like them, then they're a great thing. And of course, it starts a lot of conversation. And, my son who was plumber, he had bog 1. And like other family members had that. But the better you are, the better the number plate, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I think people was proud to work for us at Pimlico. They're proud of the vans, most clean and tidiest vans on the road. And that's what we're doing at We Fix now. People are proud to work here, wear the uniform. They're the most cleanest vans on the road again, and they're the most recognisable vans in the trade now.
Yeah, yeah.
So going to branding, just to add that, it's like priceless branding. But if your budget is low, social media doesn't cost a fortune. It's just, put everything with your name on kind of thing. It's so obvious, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
To me, it's obvious anyhow, sorry. Yeah.
Well, you're saying to you it's obvious. You know, we're going back, I don't know, what, 20, 30 years ago here? So, you know, going back then when we didn't have all this social media and all this digital marketing, to come up with that idea of, one, having a Pimlico Bible to set your boundaries and your rules of your game with your team, like I said, I thought that was a stroke of genius, and that massively helped me. I'm sat at home in Sheffield watching that programme, and I'm thinking, why the hell haven't I thought of something as simple as that? But we don't. And then the branding and the number plate, you know, and getting the right target market, keeping the prices high, you can now start to see how you're raising your standards above everybody else. And standards are something else I want to speak to you about, because with your team as well, you know, all your team, I've walked into here today, We Fix London, you would not believe or think that you were walking into a plumbing or building contractors, trades type of business, because everybody has got the right uniform on. Going back to Pimlico, talk to us about the uniform, because didn't they have different coloured uniforms, again, depending on the hierarchy of where you were?
Yeah. Well, again, I think it's important that, you know, your corporate company and that you wear the uniform. I think it's important. I mean, if not, you get some right people, you know, everyone's got a different dress sense. And when we've had a few dress down days, like, you think, oh my God, I mean, how could you come and work like that? So by having it for everybody, and people was proud to wear it, and we'd have, you know, normal sort of call centre staff with like white shirt or blouse, and then we'd have a manager with like a blue white striped shirt, and then we'd have assistant manager, then we'd have the main manager of that department would have a real quality blue shirt. So it was easy to distinguish people, and everybody was like, oh, I want to get that shirt, I want to get that shirt. And there's nothing wrong with that, you know. And of course, the better the shirt, the more money you're going to get.
Yeah, yeah.
So I go back to it, you know, the uniform is so important. And what I find, a lot of places, they do wear the uniform, and it's so depressing, some of the uniform. Like the company we sold, Pimlico, I mean, they look like council workers now. They've gone like dark colour. We was like red and blue and that. And, you know, if you go in a restaurant, you don't want to see, I don't want to see a waiter in black. I want to see him like, you know, in white or something clean and that. So important, it's just unbelievably important.
Yeah. And you know, this culture that you've built now into Pimlico, what I find fascinating is how you looked after, and still do now, all of your staff, because I heard that didn't you build a canteen for your staff?
Yeah.
To make your staff feel as though they're part of the business and they're at home. Talk to us about that.
Well, look, I had the idea of a canteen where you should like have a kettle and mess about and all this nonsense. And then all of a sudden it hit me with the idea of this canteen, and it's probably one of the best 10 business decisions I made. It brings people together. You keep it reasonably priced. It's a great meeting place for people. People come in early to work. They don't want to leave so early. If someone ain't feeling so well on that day, they can turn and take a break in the canteen. It's just a must-have. You know, here we're a smaller outfit. We already have the canteen, and you know, here it's free. I mean, at Pimlico we was too big to give it free, but it's just such an important part of growing your business. But how do you explain that to people? I think the way that people should cotton on to it is that we wouldn't do anything that's doing us damage. You know, we wouldn't have clean vehicles if it's a bad idea. We wouldn't have number plates. We wouldn't have uniform. We wouldn't have canteen. We wouldn't have 24 hours. We also have an office dog now. We've moved into that. And we had one, Mario. That's a good name for him, isn't it? And unfortunately, he outgrew the business. And, you know, he's gone to a lovely home now, a rescue dog. And we've just got another puppy now. And it looks like his name's Mario and all. So what a bit of luck
Mario
that is.
too. Mario too.
Yeah, Mario too.
Who takes Mario home then?
Eh?
Who takes Mario home?
He lives here.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
He stay here?
Well, he's going to live here, but of course, you know, the staff love the dog, so my grandson was taking him home for his family weekends. And but the real idea is going to be an office dog. And, you know, I just think, you know, it's not a publicity stunt. It makes the environment more friendlier. But the other one, oh, she's not here, Steve, but the other one, it was like an horse he became. He just grew and grew. And we got him from a rescue home in Greece. And, but it was just too big, you know what I mean? But, you know, the lady who got him for me, who's involved with, you know, rescue homes, managed to sort out another one. And but it's just, it makes it friendly. It makes it, you know, it makes it a bit more fun to come and work. I mean, we spend most of our life at work, and if you happen to be enjoying it, all the better.
Yeah. And even to the point where, you know, me and Emily, who's come down who heads our marketing up, you know, we've come in here today, lunch is on, lunch has been served, we've been well looked after. We actually feel part of your brand already because of that culture. You mentioned publicity stunt, but it's not a publicity stunt. Can I ask you a question about the 100-year-old plumber?
Buster, yeah. He wasn't a plumber, he was a van washer.
Van
Buster.
washer.
Yeah. Look, he was in the old people's home when we was at the other building, and I had an old driver, Eric, and he used to take him out from the old people's home and just take him for a beer and whatever. And he'd walk past, it was about 97 or 99, 97, 99. And he used to walk past and I'd give him a score to have a drink, you know, say hello. And Buster used to say to me, "Oh, I don't want your money, son." He said, "Let me do a bit of work for it." So give him a few scores here and there. And just me being, I think, trying to be nice, I went, "All right, Buster, what do you want to do? A bit of sweeping up or something?" "I don't mind what I do." He said, "I'll wash the vans." I said, "Okay, come in next week." And thinking, you know, just to help the old fella out. And then Monday morning he came in. Well, he was here. At that time, we used to close at night, still the phones, but obviously we become 24 hour. And he turned up before me about 6 o'clock in the morning, ready for work. Put him on cleaning vans, and that was it. It just went berserk.
Yeah.
You know, absolutely. He was on every show possible. He was encouraging people to get into the workplace. And then we bought a beer out. His name was Buster. We bought a beer out called Buster's Bitter. He was great, but he was fucking difficult, old fucker. You know what I mean? But he was great. You know what I mean? And he stayed with us for years. And I think he died when he was 103. And he didn't work full time. He used to work part time, and he'd go shopping with his mum and dad in the afternoon. That was a joke.
I want to say, I could go shopping with his mum and dad when he was 100 years old.
And it was great, Buster. And, you know, be in the canteen encouraging people, because he was there, you know, he had nothing else to do in old people's home, and he loved it. When I say old people's home, I think it's one where it's, I don't know what they call it, where they got warden sort of assisted, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they used to like a booze and all that. And then you wouldn't believe it, you know, we put him in the marathon. He done the marathon.
What, the whole lot?
He done the marathon, yeah. He sort of walked it. It was a market. He used to drag all the stalls out at Brixton Market. So he was quite a strong old fella. And, yeah, so we put him in the marathon, got him a trainer who specialised with old people. And, yeah, he done it. I think he done it in 12 hours or 10 hours.
Yeah.
My son, who's a boxing trainer, and that, he was with him and a few other people, making sure that it didn't go wrong. And raised a lot of money for charity.
Yeah.
They brought out a record with some group, My Generation it was called. He was great, you know what I mean? He was absolutely great. And you know, I didn't actually, no, I'm going to lie, I did do it as a marketing thing. Why should I say I didn't? Yeah, I did.
Yeah. But clever, you know, everything that you're doing marketing-wise, all these clever stunts and things that you're doing, nobody else is doing them, are they?
No. Well, I'll tell you what I've done. When I found out it was 99 and he was going to come in, and I said to him, "All right, Buster, I'll let you know about a bit, you know, if I can give you a bit of work." And I got onto my PR people and I said, you know, like this geezer, like, he kind of wants to come in for 99, like 99, do a bit of work. What do you think? And they went, "Well, leave it till he's 100. And I thought, we fucking might not see 100, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I took no notice of them and just told him to come in.
Yeah.
Amazing. And probably the best PR or the cheapest PR we've ever had, because he was everywhere, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was absolutely everywhere.
Let's move on then. You know, if we take it to a point where Pimlico's at its height, are you happy to share with us the type of turnover that you're doing at that point, at the point where you're coming to sell at the height?
50 mil.
Flipping heck.
Yeah, so we sold it in 2021, February 2021, unfortunately to American venture capitalists, which was a big mistake because they have allegedly destroyed the company in 4 years. We had a 3-year clause not to trade, and I had no intention of coming back again, but I was getting customers ringing up all the time, ringing up my family who worked there. "Oh, you know, they're not good. You know, when are you going to start again?" So there was a massive demand for it. We all just got together and said, you know, that's what we're good at. Let's do it. And so we started trading a year ago. I think we're already coming up for 3 mil. And I say undoubtedly in 1 more year, we will take them over on the basis of, you know, they don't do DBS checks no more. They employ anybody. And I mean, look, you've got to be very fussy who you employ, but unfortunately, they've let the standards drop. They got rid of all the apprentices, so we took them on. I mean, apprentices are the future. I mean, looking back, I sold it to them honestly believing that they would turn it into an unbelievable, massive, successful company, and it's gone the complete opposite way. Now I'm in business with them, then we're out now to prove to Pimlico and show them how to run a proper plumbing empire, because they have allegedly damaged it so much.
Yeah. How did it come about then, that deal? I mean, were you looking to sell, or did they approach you?
No, we've been approached for many years, and I think they're talking about 145 mil, and it's hard to turn that down. It's a colossal amount of money, and I thought to myself, yeah, why not? You know what I mean? And I've learned in business now, the ultimate in business for me is to start a business with nothing and cash it out at the other end. There ain't nothing you can do better than that in business.
Yep.
And so I was, the money's useful, as you know. I have quite a big family and charities, and if we'd have still had it today, the turnover would have been massive, because we was doing good, and it was getting better and better, but there was lots of changes needed to be done. And I think you fall into habits of putting up with people, maybe your standards dropped a bit. And when we started WeFix, we come up with the idea, let's go to a different level. Let's go to that level that's never been heard of before. And, unfortunately, they're allegedly going backwards. They're doing, the reviews are not good. And, we're down here, but we're coming up, and they're up here, but they're coming down. And, I'm more or less knowing a year from now, we'll be above them. We're already got better reviews. We've already got better engineers, better staff. And that's the way forward. If you pay the best, you employ the best, and you deliver the best.
Yeah. How difficult was it? I mean, 145 million, is that what you sold it for?
Something about that, within a few mil, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they give us, my son stayed on there as CEO, and they give him, a few shares, 5 million of shares or something, but he just couldn't tolerate them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He couldn't tolerate them. Americans running a family, personal plumbing business are the wrong people.
Yeah.
They're only interested in numbers, bottom line, and like shaving off and getting rid of people. And I didn't think it like that, because it didn't come across that way. We had a choice of different people who would go full, who we want to sell it to. And they was the biggest home service company in the world, Neighbourly, I think it was called. And so I thought to myself, well, they're the biggest in the world, they've got to be the best. But you can't turn a family, personal business into like a American corporative idea. Yeah. They're only interested in bottom line.
Yeah, yeah. How did, don't get me wrong, 140 plus million is a nice sweetener, but you've mentioned family business, you've worked all them years, you've grafted yourself and your nuts to get to that. So how difficult was it actually to let go of your baby? Because it is, isn't it? You've conceived this business from birth, one person band, you've grown it to 50 million. It must have been difficult for you to let it go.
Of course it's difficult. I'm not going to kid anyone, it's not. Of course it's difficult, but I knew we'd have had to make changes. And 145 mil, you start thinking, I'm going to be in my, but you can do things that you want to do. It's like a dream come true. But yes, it was difficult, but it was the right decision, because by coming back into the game, you sort of realise what you could have done better at the time, and that's what we're doing. But yeah, of course it was difficult. I think we had a few deals on the table, and we told them to fuck off in the end, because they was being pests and trying to bait you down. These people bid us a bit more and wanted it. And that was it. The biggest mistake they made, I think, was changing it. They changed the uniforms, changed the brand. Why would you change a winning formation?
If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yes, exactly. And the other biggest mistake they made, that they're making it quite public, is they should have put a clause in that I can't trade forever. Yeah. That was the biggest mistake they made.
Yeah.
Because, I've already said, where we are and where we'll be in a year's time. And I say, there's nothing personal against them. Business is business. It's like war without the casualties, isn't it?
Yeah,
You've got to win.
Yeah. So were it a case then you sold it and literally in your bank balance 140 grand, 140 million
more,
dropped
yeah.
in?
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
Yeah, the lawyer rang me up because it was going on and off, on and off, on and off. I didn't get involved in the sale because my son said you had different buyers coming in with the agent, and he said you got someone sitting there, oh, you know, your old man done this wrong and he shouldn't have done this, shouldn't have done that, and you know he should have done this better. And they're obviously trying to get a deal. And he said to me, if you was in there, you'd tell them to fuck off because they're knocking what you've done.
Yeah.
All they want to do is get a deal. So he got rid of like the pest. He said there's one particular company. He said we don't want to sell it to them. He said right cocky sod reckons you've done this wrong. And he said I'm saying to him, well, why are you buying it then? Kind of thing. Yeah. You know, if people come in and knock you rather than saying, look, you know, it's a great company. Let's talk money. Yeah, so I kept out of the deal, if I'm being honest, because, you know, I probably wouldn't have gone through with it. And a couple of times we had other people and then we just fucked them off in the end because it was like being too, like, you know, we'll give you this, no, you won't, like, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So £140 million just at your bank account. What was the first thing you bought? What do you went and buy? Treat yourself to?
Fucking divorce, I think.
I don't know whether to laugh at that or not.
No, to be honest, like, you know, the lawyer kept saying the deal's on, deal's off, and then one morning it was on, you know, they got transfer, and he rang me up and he just said, Charlie said, the money, 145 mils in your bank. I went, fucking hell. That was it, you know what I mean? And look, you know, you don't necessarily, I mean, I had good cars anyhow and a place in Spain. You don't just go on a spending spree, but obviously I spent a few quid, that's for sure. But, you know, I wasn't desperate to get an holiday or get a particular car or get a particular villa. I think for 4 years I've just been having the most wonderful, expensive life, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Good on you. Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, but you know, as I say, like, you know, I have family and that, and, you know, I'm involved with charities and it's not all about me, you know what I mean? But, you know, it's a wonderful thing to be able to do and to be able to say. And people say to me, oh, you know, how much have you spent? I think I've done about 100 million in 4 years. Yeah. But, you know, I'm happy with that. You know what I mean? I'm more than happy with that. I mean, it's lovely to be able to say it. I'm sure I've wasted a few quid, a couple of bad property deals, got involved in another business. It was another bad deal. Never got involved in any business in my life, just once, and I've done £1 million on that. Yeah, I think I've just enjoyed it, and many other people have.
Yeah, yeah. So you're at a point now then where you didn't have to set We Fix London up. You could have retired, gone into sunset, looked after your family. So why did you do it? You didn't have to do it, so why did you do it? I know you've mentioned Pimlico, you're looking at them and they've made mistakes. But what were the driver? What were the trigger?
I was never going to be retiring, you know what I mean? That's for sure. I ain't the type to sit in a corner in an armchair with slippers on and read a book. So I was still doing plenty of PR, and, you know, when you've sold your business, you start realising how good you was at it, you know what I mean? And I'm thinking, why should we waste all that, what we've put together, you know what I mean? You know, why let it just waste? And of course, you know, sons and family and grandkids, you know, they've worked there and they've got all this knowledge, and why waste it, do you know what I mean? I mean, that's the way I look at it, why waste it? Is it about the money? No, but money's useful, money don't last forever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. So you set up We Fix then, you've been set up just over a year?
Yes, yeah.
Just over a year, 3 million?
No, not quite 3 mil, but we're coming up to, well, that's where we're heading for at the moment, 3 mil.
I mean, that's incredible, isn't it, in a year?
I think so.
Incredible.
I think so. At Pimlico in 79, I know money's changed now, but it took us till 1990 before we hit a mil. But I say I've got a different professional quality look on it now. You know, it's totally different. I mean, you know, I'm not telling you anything you don't know because you're in business, but, you know, there's a reason why, say, John Lewis have a, you know, sort of food counter and the quality is this and it costs that, and there's a reason why Arabs have a food counter and the quality and the cost is that. There's a big difference out there, and, you know, and that's what we've gone into, the very top end of it. You know, we've way gone beyond what we was at Pimlico. But what we are getting now is a lot of Pimlico customers coming back, to a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
Because again, they know, you know, people always favour quality. I have to say it. You know, I keep using that saying.
Yeah. And also, I suppose if you're doing it right now, and Pimlico are dropping down a little bit, I presume you're getting a lot of their engineers coming to you saying, Charlie, I want to come work for you.
Well, we've had, quite a few people have come on board, but we're not interested in any more of them because their standards have dropped, and allegedly, they're allowing them to get away with things, and we won't allow that. So we won't employ any more of them now, you know what I mean? Because they're left to roam free. I mean, they become like a franchise, and, some of the things that are going on, allegedly, we won't put up with it.
Yeah.
I mean, we took their apprentices on because they got rid of them, but we had a few of them come in here and they don't even get an interview. But now we just made it clear, we're not employing none of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because again, their standards have dropped and our standards have gone up, and it just wouldn't work. I mean, they walk about with no uniform on. Half of them can't speak English.
Yeah.
Some of them are coming straight out of prison. I mean, they took one guy on, he'd done 12 years, and they put him in the office. And they're not doing DBS checks. And when my son was there, they said to him, look, we're thinking of doing away with DBS checks. And he said, bad move. He said, you don't want to do that. Anyhow, they took no notice and done it. And, we had a 24-hour call centre there. All of a sudden, women don't want to work at night. You've got some oddball in there that you ain't got no clue about him.
Yeah.
And even engineers going to people's house, you've got to make sure they're right.
Yeah.
But, there's stories that are true that are going around. I mean, they're even giving work out, like some of the engineers are getting cheap, unqualified foreign labour in and putting them on a job. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I mean, I don't think they'll last. I think after a year, they'll be finished job.
Yeah.
Don't matter all the money in the world they've got, you've got to run a business the proper way.
Yeah. What's the reason behind We Fix London diversifying into other trades then? Because obviously traditionally it's plumbing, but you've diversified, haven't you? You've gone into different trades, different services.
Yeah, well, look, we've done that at Pimlico. It was called Pimlico Plumbers. We changed it to Pimlico, and we've done all the services. And the idea of that is that, once an engineer's on the job, you always want an electrician, you always want a carpenter, you need this, that, and the other. And I have to say, trying to get the right people in was just too difficult. So we decided, let's employ them people. Let's have them on their books. And it works together, it just works, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's just, a plumber's at a job and he needs floorboards or bath panels or, and that's it. It's just, there's such a demand for good tradesmen that it's a no-brainer not to have it all in-house.
Yeah, yeah. So what's the future vision then for We Fix London?
We're certainly looking good, that's for sure. I mean, we're having record weeks, we're having record days. We're recruiting some good staff now. We recruit them from day one. Yeah, so we're growing sort of, slowly. I mean, I'm a great believer. You don't want to come to the front too quick because you won't stay there. Yeah. So we're coming very gradual, but we're now getting the recognition. We're getting plenty of press. I'm doing plenty of PR. You see the outfit, what we've got, and I think we're head and shoulders above the rest. So the future's looking great. I mean, the only thing that can fuck us up is Labour government.
Yeah.
They're the only ones that can mess us up, but we ain't prepared to let them mess up We Fix. We will carry on, go through all the tax increases and all the workers' rights that they come up with, which are all shit. And we will see through that. I mean, the best will always survive, won't they?
Yeah. And I totally and utterly agree with everything you've said about this Labour government and what they're trying to do to the Britain and to businesses. And I believe that you've moved abroad yourself, haven't you?
Yeah. Look, when I made a point that when Labour got in, which I think is about, I can't remember, that's 16 months ago, that there ain't no way I'm going to tolerate them. I mean, they're socialists. They've got no idea about business. They're very anti-business. And I wasn't going to have none of them. So people say, why did you form We Fix London then? Well, this idea came up at least a year or so before they was in power, and I never thought they would get in power. If I'd known they would get in power, we would be We Fix Marbella or We Fix Dubai. Yeah. But we're here. We do what we have to do. The company obviously complied with the UK tax regulations. I don't. I'm a non-executive chairman for that reason, because I ain't giving the government no more of my money to waste.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I'm not tax avoiding. I'm not moved to another country to avoid tax. I've come off the payroll. And I just not, paid in over 100 mil in my working life on a personal basis, but I just don't like what's being done with their money. And, I don't like all the ponces that come over here and all the lazy people. I'm just not buying in on it no more.
One last question, if that's okay. There's going to be thousands and thousands of our audience and your audience watching this. If you could give a tradesperson one bit of advice, just one bit of advice with all that business and success that you've had, one bit, what would it be?
Okay, I would say up the quality of your service. Whether that means how you answer the phone, how you dress, how you carry out the job. It's all about quality of service. So just up your game. You know, people are happy to pay for it. You know, and I'm sure, like if I have somebody turns up my house to do a job, say, well, I know it's fucking computer, and he's a scrappy bastard, or he's on the phone, he ain't coming in.
Yeah.
So just up the quality of what you can offer. That's all I'm saying. Look, different tradesmen have different ways of doing things, and if you're on a building site, you have to go along with what they're doing. But we work for private residential people, and I'll use that term, quality of service. People will always pay for it.
Yeah. Well, Charlie, thank you so much for inviting us down to We Fix London. I can absolutely see the professionalism, the quality, the branding and everything that you've just said. From pulling up, you've got all your archers with all your vehicles and your vans in, you've got your car park, you've got your officers. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Lovely. Well done.
Good luck with We Fix London. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, what an incredible insight into Charlie and how he builds, grows and scales his businesses. Before we go, could I ask you a quick favour? Would you mind considering hitting the subscribe or follow button on whatever channel you're listening or watching to this podcast episode on? It helps to push the algorithm and our podcast out to more people. And finally, if you need any help or support in building, growing and scaling your trades business, could I please ask you to consider hitting the link in the show notes and the description and coming over and joining the Trades Freedom Club's Growth Club so we can help you achieve time and financial freedom. So I'll catch up with you next week and I'll meet you all at the top. Thank you.